He said today, "It is an honor to witness the crowning moment of an extraordinarily busy year for the Royal Navy that has seen us name the second carrier, HMS Prince of Wales, cut steel on the first Type 26 frigates and launch the national shipbuilding strategy. Our new aircraft carrier is the epitome of British design and dexterity, at the core of our efforts to build an armed forces fit for the future. For the next half a century both carriers will advance our interests around the globe, providing the most visible symbol of intent and commitment to protect the UK from intensifying threats, wherever they may come. We have been working, the Navy have been working, the Ministry of Defence have been working to get it ready for the last 20 years. This is a very important moment." The ceremony finished with the cake representing the ship being cut by the commanding officer's wife Karen Kidd and the youngest member of the ship's company steward Callum Hui, 17, from Linton, Devon, describing the moment, which is a service tradition, as a definite peak in a short career. He said, "It will probably be one of the stories you tell your kids." The families of crew members of the new aircraft carrier have spoken of their pride in their loved ones. Able Seaman Oscar Russell, 21, of Portsmouth, is the second member of his family to serve on Queen Elizabeth. His great-grandfather Archer Thomas Russell served on the previous Queen Elizabeth in 1921. A.B. Russell's father, who was sitting in the stands of the warship's hangar for the commission ceremony, said it was a momentous day. He said, "We're so incredibly proud of Oscar. He is probably the only person serving on the ship now to have a relative who was on the last HMS Queen Elizabeth." A.B. Russell's mother Dana, 52, of Leeds, added, "I'm so excited and really proud of him. This is just something to really celebrate. It's the greatest ship in the world. It's an unbelievable experience." Petty Officer Peter Snap, of Gosport, near Portsmouth, was supported by his mother, Linda, the 38-year-old sailor, who joined the ship's company 8 weeks ago as a gas turbine engineer, said, "This is a huge day for all of us. Days like today are what you join the armed forces for." Mrs. Snep said, "This is a one-off. I'm so proud for him being on the ship. He is the third generation of his family in the Royal Navy. It's amazing he is on a ship that's making history." Anita Sanders, of Portsmouth, was waiting for her husband Lieutenant Lee Sanders, with his mother and father Colin, 63, and Marie, 63, and their children Nancy, 6, and Constance, 7. She said, "He joined the ship in Rosyth and he leaves the ship today. He has seen it from scaffolding to where she is today. It's amazing." Senior Warfare Officer, Lieutenant Commander Nick Leeson, revealed the ship's 700-strong company had been undertaking a healthy amount of activity to ensure the vessel was ready for the ceremony. Lieutenant C.D.R. Leeson is the officer commanding the Royal Guard during the ceremony, and the Queen, accompanied by Captain Kidd, inspected the front rank. Captain Kidd described the commissioning ceremony as a major milestone. He said, "Building aircraft carriers is not for the faint-hearted. There are very few countries who can do this around the world, so we should look at our British industry, our designers, all the skills, all the production companies around the country, the shipyards from Devon through to Fife, to the Royal Navy, who have come together to make this happen. We should be really proud as a country. This has been a national endeavor. It has just been fantastic. It is really a culmination of all our hard work." Set to be the nation's future flagship, the aircraft carrier can be pressed into action for various tasks such as high-intensity war fighting or providing humanitarian aid and disaster relief. She will also serve as a floating military base for the F-35B stealth fighter jets that will launch from the deck of the vessel to undertake missions. Lieutenant C.D.R. Leeson added, "I will be in the middle of the hangar in front of the 96-man guard, and I will be reporting the guard and speaking to the Queen as she comes to inspect us. It is a massive thing of personal pride for me. It will be the first time that I have met the Queen, so it is a real honor and a real privilege, and it is the first time I have commissioned a ship into service as well. Just to be associated with this amazing ship is a real privilege." Asked if the crew had been tidying up ahead of the big day, he said there had been a healthy amount of activity, stressing that everyone wanted to make sure the ship looks her best on this magnificent day. To prepare for the ceremony, the hangar of the aircraft carrier has been cleared and seating installed, as well as screens so that those attending were able to witness the white ensign being raised on the top deck. Lieutenant C.D.R. Leeson added of the ceremony, "It is a big deal, but we are delighted to be on show. We are delighted to be here presenting this magnificent ship to our friends, to our family and to the nation essentially. Since we have been back in our base port of Portsmouth we have really been cracking on with the commissioning preparations, and this last week it has been our sole focus. Hoisting the white ensign above HMS Queen Elizabeth for the first time will be a day to look back on forever, a young sailor carrying out the honor has said. The flag is one of the world's most recognizable naval standards and has flown from British warships, boats, bases, and Royal Marine craft for more than 150 years. Featuring a St. George's cross on a white background and a Union flag in the upper left corner, the white ensign was raised above HMS Queen Elizabeth for the first time today. Able Seaman Ellie Smith, 20, from Hull said she was excited to be tasked with the job of raising the white ensign. Able Seaman Jessica Hughes, 26, from Portsmouth, pulled the ropes to hoist the flag while the national anthem was played. The youngest crew member serving on HMS Queen Elizabeth cut the cake during a ceremony as the ship was accepted into the Royal Navy. He was joined in slicing the aircraft carrier cake by the wife of commanding officer, Captain Kidd, using a sword. They were watched by the Queen and guests including the First Sea Lord, Admiral Sir Philip Jones, as well Steward Huey's mother, Pack, and brother, Vincent. Asked if he is treated any differently as the youngest member of the ship's 700-strong company, he said he is dealt with exactly the same as anyone else. He added, "When you are working, you don't really notice that you are under 18. Inside Britain's most powerful warship, at 280 meters long, with a lifespan of half a century and a flight deck of 4 acres, HMS Queen Elizabeth is Britain's largest and most powerful warship ever built." Here are the facts and figures behind the vessel, which will be officially commissioned into the Royal Navy on December 7. The aircraft carrier weighs 65,000 tons and has a top speed in excess of 25 knots. A number of shipbuilding yards around the country were involved in the build. These include Govan and Scotstoun in Glasgow, Appledore in Devon, Camel Laird in Liverpool, ANP on the Tyne in Newcastle and Portsmouth. A total of 10,000 people worked on construction of the ship, made up in sections at yards around the UK and transported to Rosyth, Fife, where it was assembled. It is the second ship in the Royal Navy to be named Queen Elizabeth. The ship has a crew of around 700, that will increase to 1,600 when a full complement of F-35B jets and crow's nest helicopters are embarked. There are 364,000 meters of pipes inside the ship, and from keel to masthead she measures 56 meters. 4 meters more than Niagara Falls. Facilities on board included a chapel, a medical center and 12-bed ward, staffed with GPs, a nurse and medical assistants, as well as a dentist and dental nurse. There are also 5 gyms on the warship, which included a cardiovascular suite, 2 free weight rooms and a boxing gym. Regular fitness circuit sessions and sporting activities such as basketball and tug-of-war are held in the hangar and on the flight deck, with weights and other items stored inside the flight deck ramp. Captain Jerry Kidd said his favorite part of the ship was the laundry, which he called huge and bespokely built. There are 5 galleys on the warship, which is where the food is cooked and those on board eat their meals every day. This includes 2 main galleys, the bridge mess and an aircrew refreshment bar. The distribution network on board manages enough energy to power 30,000 kettles or 5,500 family homes. Its flight deck is 280 meters long and 70 meters wide, enough space for 3 football pitches. The entire ship's company of 700 can be served a meal within 90 minutes, 45 minutes when at action stations. Recreational spaces enjoyed by the crew feature televisions and sofas, as well as popular board games including the traditional Royal Navy game of Uckers. Each of the 2 aircraft lifts on HMS Queen Elizabeth can move 2 fighter jets from the hangar to the flight deck in 60 seconds. The warship has a range of 8,000 to 10,000 nautical miles, and has 2 propellers, each weighing 33 tons and with a combined 80 MW output of power, enough to run 1,000 family cars or 50 high-speed trains. The crew is currently made up of 87 women and 613 men. Chefs pride at cooking for the Queen and her guests. Cooking lunch for the Queen is something that cannot be beaten, the chef in charge of feeding the monarch during a visit to her namesake warship has said. At 65,000 tons, HMS Queen Elizabeth is the biggest and most powerful vessel ever built by Britain, and will be formally commissioned into the Royal Navy on Thursday. Following the ceremony, the Queen will enjoy a 3-course lunch on board the ship. something which Petty Officer Dean Allen said his team of chefs were very excited about. "I don't think you can go bigger than feeding the Queen. It is the biggest catering moment of my career," he told the press association. "The chefs are buzzing, they can't wait, they have been looking forward to Thursday for a long time." The commissioning and feeding the Queen, having served in the armed forces for 20 years, 18 of which were in the Army with the Royal Logistics Corps, the 37-year-old from Warminster said he has cooked for the royal family before, but P.O. Allen said he was not feeling pressure and was instead excited about the task at hand. Describing the menu, he revealed it was very much a team effort and that the Queen picked from a number of options sent to the palace. She has got a salmon tian for starter, for main course she has got a double rib of British lamb with a bean cassolet, he said, and for pudding she has got a burnt blood orange tart with poached meringue. P.O. Allen said there was no real theme to the dishes being served, just that the chefs came up with the ideas and tried to create something new. On Thursday a team of 48 chefs will have to feed more than 3,700 mouths, a number which also includes the ship's company and their families, plus a charity dinner that evening. P.O. Allen added, "It will go right, then we can all sit down for some beers afterwards." Thank you for watching.